Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Nadia, or otherwise known as Iron Curls, and today I wanted to talk about gut inflammation and something that I deal with a lot, and I feel like a lot of other people deal with this as well, and they just don't know what to do when they're in this situation. So I thought that I would do a little video and kind of explain what I do to help when I have a GI flare-up per se. So let's kind of backtrack and talk about like what is wrong with my gut, or what many people experience. So a lot of people experience inflammatory bowel disease. I've never been personally diagnosed. I've never gone to the doctor for my bowel problems, but this is because Crohn's and colitis runs in my family, and so does colon cancer. So my family does have a history of bowel issues. So I didn't need to go to the doctor to be classified as a certain syndrome or disease, and because there's nothing that they can do anyways to treat me. So that's why I just never went to the doctor or felt the need to, because I know I don't have Crohn's and I know I don't have colitis. It's just I have bouts of flare-ups basically, or times where I don't feel very well in my gut, and everybody experiences that. But I think a lot of normal society or everyday people just kind of brush it off because they're not really in tune with their bodies, and they don't really associate that what they eat does affect their gut and their bowel, and they just think, oh, it was probably something I ate, and it probably was something you ate, but they don't really care because they are just everyday people. Whereas for me, for example, or people who are in the fitness industry, we are slightly more in tune with our bodies. And what is this? So we're a little bit more in tune with our bodies, and we care about our physiques more and how we look every day. And that's why we are more mindful of these things. And a lot more people have IBS than you would think. It's just, like I said, people just don't make a big deal about it because they just brush it off as being normal for them. Like gas and bloating, that is not really normal, but people have made that their normal because they just eat like shit all the time, or they eat foods that bother their bodies, and they're just not in tune with their bodies. Common symptoms are gas, bloating. You may have periods of diarrhea or bouts of constipation, just generalized not feeling very well in your stomach, just a lot of cramping. You can also have brain fog. You can have anxiety, depression. These are all things that are linked to poor digestion and poor absorption of nutrients inside your gut. So a lot of people don't associate brain fog, depression, or anxiety as something that has to do with your gut. But guys, your gut is your second brain, and a lot of people don't understand that. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb, and the nutrients you uptake in your gut. And if you're not absorbing nutrients properly, then you may suffer from anxiety or depression, or just feel like you're in a cloud and you just can't focus. And that's what brain fog basically means. So be mindful of these things. And these may be things that you've experienced, but you've never linked it to being a concern because you're just not that in tune with your body. And being in tune with your body does come over time. It does take time to learn your body and learn what healthy feels like and what not healthy feels like. And it's just a part of the process. It's a part of the journey. And yeah. So next thing I want to talk about is what I mean by flare-ups, or by bouts of bloating. So for me, as you guys know, I take a lot of natural supplements which help to maintain and decrease the amount of inflammation that is in my gut. I would say about 85% of the time my gut is stable. I don't experience bloating or gas or any issues with my gut. But for that 15%, that is when I will experience a flare-up. And what that means is I have basically eaten something that has disturbed my gut and that my body just did not agree with. And when that happens, I will experience immense bloating for days. Like I will feel like just protruded, like I just feel like my insides are basically swollen. It's just like nothing I can't suck in. Like my gut is out. I feel like maybe watery, or my stomach is like a turtle shell because it is just so inflamed inside. And when that happens, sometimes my weight will spike up on the scale, because as you know, with inflammation is your body's natural response of trying to heal the area. So it may increase your fluids and water retention, and it's your body's way of fighting back. So I will often notice the scale go up. I will have lots of bloating. I just won't feel right. I won't feel as hungry. I can just tell that things aren't digesting well in my body. Like I said, I'm very in tune, so it's taken me years to get to this point. But anyways, for example, I'm going to tell you what happened a couple weeks ago. So I had some broccoli. I had 2 servings of broccoli, and broccoli, I know, doesn't agree with my stomach. And sometimes it's hit or miss, but it just depends kind of on how much I have. But I did have 2 large servings of it, and immediately I was bloated. I was experiencing cramping, gas, and then for the following 4 days, my weight shot up by 4 pounds. I was extremely distended, uncomfortable. And since this has happened before, I knew what the cause was and what this was with my body, what was going on. So this was a point of inflammation due to something I ate. So just think of it like this. You eat something and it's irritating the lining of your digestive system. So it's like getting sandpaper and scraping your arm. Obviously, you're going to have irritation, and your body is just not going to like that. Like your arm will be like cut because you just like scraped it with sandpaper. So basically that's what happens to your intestines. It just doesn't agree with that food, and it causes inflammation. And also, with that being said, some of the foods you eat, okay, this is like a sidetrack, but SIBO is another thing. Is called, maybe I won't go there. Maybe we'll save that for another day. Okay, so back to the inflammation. So when my body is in this point of inflammatory, help me, there's a few things I like to do, or like a few protocols that I do that I've learned over time that help to decrease this inflammation and eventually bring the bloat back down. So here we go. Number 1, I keep my diet very plain. I will try and remove as much excess spice, as much excess artificial sweeteners, sugar, alcohols, anything artificial. I try and eliminate that. Those are all things that can cause irritation to the gut, especially spices. A lot of people don't realize this, but spices can irritate your gut and cause inflammation. So I try and keep everything pretty basic, pretty simple. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're eating foods that agree with your body. So I will stick to only foods that I know agree with my body, like no little bites of this or that. Like I like to keep it, like I like to know that my body will respond well to this. And I like to make sure that all the foods I'm eating, all the vegetables that I'm eating are cooked, because raw vegetables are harder to digest by the body, and that's more work that needs to be done. Another thing I like to do is when my gut is inflamed, I'm not as hungry. So I'll try and push off my first meal a little longer. It's not technically intermittent fasting because I don't fast more than 12 hours ever, but I just like to wait more time between my last meal and my first meal of the day to kind of give my body a chance to digest and clear itself. Think of it like this. Your intestines are like a tube, and if you're constantly filling that tube and not giving it a break to be empty, it's always working and it doesn't have time to heal itself. So by increasing the length of time between meals, you're giving your body a break and giving that tube a break to completely empty so it can then heal itself. And it's less stress on the intestine, basically. So I'll try and not fast, because I'm not really fasting, but I'll try and push off my first meal by like 2 hours, say. And I find that helps. Another thing I like to do is I like to increase some of my supplements, the natural supplements that I already take. So I will increase my apple cider vinegar to 2 times a day, one in the morning and then once at bedtime. I like to increase the amount of natural probiotics I'm taking from foods, so from fermented foods. So I will double up on my sauerkraut, which is a natural probiotic. It has live bacteria. So I will double up on that, and I just eat that right before bed. I will also double up on my probiotics. So I will take 1 in the morning and 1 at bedtime, whereas when I'm just in a maintenance or at my 85% of feeling good, I just take 1 in the morning. Another thing I like to do is first thing in the morning, I will drink lemon water with apple cider vinegar, my aloe vera juice in 500 mils of warm water. And this just kind of like helps to flush the digestive system. It gets it stimulated, and the lemon, when it's warmed with the warm water, it'll actually increase bile flow, and bile is needed for digestion. But it just helps to like stimulate the digestive system, especially warm fluids. It gets things moving. So I like to do that. Another thing I like to do is I might double up on my betaine HCl. I've done videos on this before. Basically, betaine HCl decreases the acidity of your stomach, which allows it to break down food better. And the better you can break down food, the better you're able to digest it, and the better you're able to increase absorption of the nutrients from that food. So just think of it like this. Your gut is in a sensitive state and it needs to be healed. So you want to do things that are going to help heal it. I'll also double up on my aloe vera juice just by a little bit, and I just drink that still first thing in the morning. And lastly, I double up on my omegas, because omegas are anti-inflammatory. So it helps to decrease the inflammation of your body and of the gut. So those are a few tips that I do to help when I'm in a bout of inflammation. Something must have changed that has caused this, but it's having to go back and analyze everything you've done the last few days and what has been different. It doesn't just like happen out of nowhere unless you have like colitis or Crohn's. That's a little different. Flare-ups are usually caused by something you've eaten. So you have to go over everything you've eaten and kind of pinpoint what it may be that caused the inflammation. Okay, yes, I changed. I had to eat and then I came back. Anyways, so a few things I wanted to disclaim or mention is that probiotics aren't good for every gut issue. So where this comes into play is if somebody has SIBO, for example. So SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of people think they have SIBO. I can make another video talking more about SIBO and what it is. But basically it's just bacteria in the small intestine, and a lot of the signs and symptoms are very similar to IBS. So you're going to have the gas, the bloating, you may have constipation, diarrhea, just generally uncomfortable. Brain fog is huge with SIBO. Lack of energy, it just like you just don't feel good. So that's where probiotics would be counterproductive. And why is this? It's because it's small bacterial overgrowth. So when you're taking a probiotic, you're taking good strands of bacteria, and these healthy strands of bacteria are helping to flourish your gut and increase the good bacteria, basically, which is needed to feel good. So if you're taking a probiotic, you're essentially feeding the bacteria that's in your small intestine, which is going to cause even worse signs and symptoms. So it's going to exacerbate what you're already experiencing. So that's when you would not want to take a probiotic. Also, if somebody has SIBO, they wouldn't want to increase their fiber, which is something that you might do if you have other digestive issues. Because if you don't take in enough fiber, then that's when you can experience constipation and bloating. But when you increase your fiber, it tends to move things along better. So you don't want to increase your fiber, because again, that's just going to increase the problem, and it's just going to give something for the bacteria to feed off of, which is going to make signs and symptoms even worse. So although a lot of the gut issues have a lot of the similar signs and symptoms, so it's really hard to know what you're experiencing. But like I said, I just know intuitively, and I'm very in tune with my body, and I don't believe I have SIBO, because like I said, I'm good 85% of the time and I feel pretty good. And even when I do have a little flare up, it's more just bloating more than anything else. So yeah, so if you want to know more about SIBO, let me know and I can maybe do another video about that. If you guys want to hear about other digestive topics, you can let me know down below. And like, my contact is falling out of my eyeball right now. I don't know what's happening. But I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it may not have made the most sense because I was in a rush while making it. But I wanted to get this out for you guys, so thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment down below, click the little bell so you don't miss the next drop. Hit him with a flex. Oof.